All right, trade pros, welcome to today's midday update. Today is Tuesday, May the 7th, 2019. And there we go. And sorry, I just had to mute that. And let's get started. So basically today, seeing pretty nice day in the SPOs. Oil is a little bit quiet, to be quite honest. A little bit of a spill on the open, but since it's kind of made a V bottom and it's kind of been hanging around since then, pressing back into that open at the moment. What I'm seeing here as far as news, nothing really left on the docket for the session. I just see consumer credit month-over-month figures coming in at 3 p.m. That's coming out of the States, forecasted at 17 billion. Previous was 15.2 billion. This is a low impact event, so don't expect too much volatility in the markets as a result of that. What we did have, however, were the JOLTS, the job opening number, and the March JOLTS job openings came in at 7.488 million versus 7.350 million. So a bit more jobs than expected on that front. Let's see if we got anything else here. We have Russian government spokesperson mentioned that President Putin might meet with U.S. Secretary of State Pompeo during the visit to Russia on the 14th of May. And that's pretty much it. Another one, Goldman Economist chain store sales weekend May 4th came in at minus 1.3%. Year-over-year figure came in at 2.6%. So again, not a high impact announcement. And as far as I can see, we don't really have anything else too grand scheduled for the remainder of the session outside of those consumer credit numbers at 3 p.m. Eastern. So that's basically it here for news as far as it relates to the SPOs and to crude oil. We got a big day in crude tomorrow. The EIA inventory report comes out, and that's a report that we like to trade in our room, tend to do well on those days. And last couple of reports haven't been that great, but the last week's was an awesome report. So look forward to trading that tomorrow. However, let's take a quick peek here now at our charts and have a quick gander at some of the levels, see where we're trading at, look at the quote board, see what volume is on the session for so far in the session, and then we'll switch over to our range bar charts, give you guys a key look at some levels that we'll be watching for into the close today. So let's switch over to my screen share and get you guys looking at that. So there we are, and you guys will see the quote board now. What I'm seeing here, SPOs ESM 9 is at 1.49 million contracts traded so far today, which is well above the average. I believe SPOs on average trade around 1.5 to 2 million a day, and we're here at 1.5 million traded already by noon. So a lot of liquidity in the SPOs, and we're seeing a daily change percentage of 0.77% on that front as well. You can see at the moment we are below the open and kind of starting to range sideways, but I'll get into that in a second. Crude oil, our next market here, we're at 567,000 contracts for the session, down 1.68% from our previous day close. If I scroll up here, where was the previous day close? 62.55, and we're trading here below, almost $1 below, well, just over $1 below at 61.48 at the current moment. So bearish on that front as well, and excuse me, that's generally what we're seeing on really both of these markets. However, crude looks to be a little bit stronger than the SP 500, and that's pretty much on that front there. So let's drag out our quote board. Let's take a quick peek at our pivot charts, see where we're trading with regards to those, and then we'll take a quick peek at our 10-tick range bar chart and see what the market structure is suggesting. So first things first, crude oil, looks like we had a bit of a gap down on the Globex session yesterday. Came in to fill that gap here and sold off from there, bounced off of S1, $60.82. Pivot comes in at 61.89, which is within 10-11 cents, give or take, the 62 round number. You can see that level held as resistance yesterday, broke it, held a support overnight, broke it, held as resistance, sold off. Now we're looking for another test back into that level. It's been acting, as its name suggests, it's been acting as a pivot, and you're seeing that with the resistance and the support on both ends of that. So now that we've broken back below it, came into S1, looking for a move into there. If this bearish trend is to continue, we're not going to get back above that pivot. The sellers should defend this level, try to press this thing back towards those lows at 60.80s, maybe even down into the actual lows at 60.61, it looks like. And so that's kind of where we're stuck at the moment between pivot and S1. Your S or your R1 comes in all the way at 63.73. So that's a bit of an extended target if you are looking to the bull side. If we do get back above this pivot, look for a move back to that previous day close, which was right around those 62.55. So that's kind of what we'll be watching for. If we can get above pivot, this is kind of my line in the sand. If we can get above this level, hold some rotations, we might see a press back into the previous day close. If we, however, come into this level, see some rotations, some failing, some selling coming in, we could see a potential roll back down into those 60.82s. I'm looking at the US dollar here on another screen, and I'm seeing that we're back looking a little bit bullish on the session so far. We are right at 2018 highs at 97.71 on that dollar. So as the dollar is showing strength, you can look for crude and for SPOs to start showing weakness, as those guys are generally inversely correlated. So strong dollar should weigh on crude oil and on the SP 500. And so we've been seeing that for a good part of the morning here on the SPOs. Crude's looking like it's given back some of the losses, and we're actually back above the pit open here. So we'll see if we get that press up into those 62 levels. And really that pivot is your big line in the sand. So on the 10-tick chart, we'll get that to a second, but pivot S1 is your range here on oil. As far as the SPOs are concerned, this chart is looking a little bit choppy, but what you are seeing here on your 1 hour chart is you're seeing lower lows, lower highs, low or high, low, lower high, lower low. This high broke this one, but remained under there. So that's a lower high, back below, lower low, lower high, another failed attempt to break. And here we are below S1. So S1 is your current resistance level, 28.98 quarter. That is a pretty nice level. You've also got your, when was this, 5.5, that was Friday. So May 5th, you have your lows from Friday around those 28.80s, and we're watching for that move again. It looks like it might have gone below the 28.80 so far in this session. No, it doesn't look like that on the 10-tick chart. So 28.80 still a pretty big bid magnet for me. There's been around 700 at that level since we were trading really around this 2,900 level. So still looking for that inventory to get flushed out as we are making lower lows, lower highs. But we could be seeing a potential rotation up into that S1 right around the 2,900 even level. If we see sellers defend that zone, we could get a nice move down into S2 potentially in those 28.60s. What you are seeing here, once I drag up my 10-tick chart, you got some bid offers or bids sitting down at the 28.75, and then you got some bids sitting down at the 28.60s, and nothing really below that. So those are your magnets as far as your bids. As far as your selling is concerned, really above the open, so nothing too interesting at the moment. What we'd like to see is as this thing rotates lower, these bids start to erase, start to rather run, and we want to see sellers, i.e. limits, start chasing this thing down. So that's what we're looking for. Ultimately, though, I think that, you know, we might be a little bit overdone here on the short side. It's looking a bit tired here. Nice big sell-off off the open. Really haven't got back to the open since we broke below it here at around 946. And I'm personally on the side of caution here for continuing to short, looking for a little bit of a buy stop run before we get our next wave of selling. And so where might you get that buy stop run? Well, you got your previous day low right around this zone here, and you got your VWAPs coming in as well. And this zone just looks super choppy here. You can see a lot of people are trying to sell on these breaks of lows. You get those rotations, move back into the lows, another rotation. You can see really this low, another move down in, rotation. This time we finally broke it, but couldn't really continue lower. Instead, what are we seeing? We're seeing a little bit of consolidation, and now we're getting a little bit of a rotation up. So this is really your first zone here around the 89s, but I'm looking for the seller, rather the buyers, to kind of push this thing back up to your previous day low. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4 times so far. We've held that level, coincides with a couple of other confluence factors, i.e. your US VWAP and our trading zone right in there. So that could be a good level to look to short this thing back down, right around your Globex VWAP, right around that 2900 level, and that kind of also lines up with your S1. So 3 or 4 different confluence factors that can present the potential high probability short trade there. If, however, we do get back above this zone, get back into the open, rotate back down here into the overnight low and hold support, could see us maybe making another press higher back up into that 29.15 level up there. As far as crude is concerned, again, what you're seeing is a bit of a V bottom. So there's our open right there. 9 a.m. was right around here. So you can see kind of flooded around the open for the first bit. And then around, what time was this? Around 9:40, we'll say nice selling pressure came in. V bottom right into that 60-70 zone and haven't really turned back since. So that could be a potential transitory move right there. Let me scroll out here. So we are seeing it didn't quite reach down into these previous lows at the 60s. So that might actually be the first formation of a potentially higher low here in the overall structure. Oops, I guess this works. So getting this move down. So here we are, didn't quite get back down there. We stopped at this zone and now we're starting to press higher. So watching this level quite closely here. Right there is your open, your Globex VWAP, your US VWAP is also kind of in that zone. So I'm seeing a little bit of a breakout here. What I'd look to get geared long is not a big fan of buying it right up there. Still feel like that's too high. Now that we've broken out above that level, I'm considering this a potential shift in market structure. So what I want to see is this pit VWAP start to curl higher and for us to come back in, hold this thing as support, and then make a press higher. That's what we'll be watching for on crude. Again, this is a pretty key level for you here. So if we do see sellers step in and then come back into here and fail, at that point we can look to press this thing lower. But for the moment, I'm kind of more favoring the long side if we do get a dip into that VWAP and we find support, kind of similar to what you saw here. You saw this break above the VWAP, press higher, rotation into it, nice little wick, volume starting to increase on that rotation, and then we got that press higher. So looking for something similar, a little bit of a press back down, hold as support, VWAP curls up, want to see volume tick higher, and then we can look to qualify something. If we do get that, and you do get a nice trade in here, you can look to target this level. If we do get in here, start to fizzle out, could look to short it again, back down into your previous day low, and back down into your 60-60 zone. So that's what we got on both of our markets for today. And let me take a quick peek over on our index here, TRADEPRO Performance Index. Here we go. So TRADEPRO Performance Index is in front of you guys. We had an absolutely blowout day in the room on this session. 74% of the room was green, 67% were up, 6.5% were flat, and 25% were down for the session. Overall, best number so far in May, and we look to continue this trend going into the remainder of the month. So that's all that I've got for you guys for today's session. Just keep an eye out, or rather an ear open for any squats, since there's not too much as far as economic news on the docket. And that'll be it. Keep your levels, plan your trades, trade your plan, and trade like a trade pro. So at the moment, we are seeing a little bit of a press higher here on the SPOs. Crude as well, making a little press, but you can see we've got some of these cats that are looking to sell, pressing down lower. So we'll see what happens here. Should be a bit of a battle zone, but I've laid out really the way to play this, and hopefully you guys, can make something out of that. This isn't to be construed as financial advice, since we are not financial advisors. So again, previous day low, US VWAP, Globex VWAP on the SPOs. You can look to get geared short there. That can be a good high probability area. If we do get back above that, look to transition back to the buy side. So that's going to be all for today's session, guys. Until tomorrow, if you will trade into the remainder, good luck, good trading, remain patient, remain diligent, and remain disciplined. That's a write-off from you guys. Take care. Until tomorrow, we'll see you again. Take care, Trade Pros. Can I say trade?